Hello and welcome to Changing Our Reality. My name is Rick Freeman, and today I wanted to talk to you about. I was preparing for this episode today, going back in memories, thinking about when I first was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and it made me think I might be the oldest survivor, living person with Crohn's disease, at least one of the top 5, 10. It all started in the late 1970s. I was at a Bruce Springsteen concert. Bruce Springsteen. I was there with 5 friends, and it was a 4.5 hour concert. It was awesome. Right at the encore, me and my friends, we snuck down on the floor. We were having a good time, and the boss, he started to play Born to Run. And right as the words hit, "Baby, we were born to run," I had to run. I ran to the bathroom, and you can imagine after a 4.5 hour concert how bad a men's bathroom would look. And thank God everyone was out watching the concert and it was empty, but I was able to go get my stuff done, get out, and I was able to luckily find my friends and go home. And in a few days, that's when I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And I was diagnosed because my grandfather had it. He had it at the time where you didn't, people died from Crohn's disease. And that's a whole different story. But I was diagnosed, and now I was going to live this new life with Crohn's disease. And at that time, there were no medications. The only medication was steroids, prednisone, and sulfidine. And that's what I finished up high school with. I went to college with, started college with. It was a handful of little steroid pills and big horse pills of the sulfidine. And that's what I was taking every single day. And I was keeping control, except my habits. I did not change my eating habits at all. I was still eating. When I went to college, I would go have these big submarine sandwiches called Greasy Nicks, steak hoagies, and other kind of hoagies. And those were my foods at college. And I didn't change my habits. And here it all goes on now because here I'm having one of the worst Crohn's days I've had it. I've been to the bathroom 3 times. It's only 10 in the morning. And this time I have to say, I feel like I kind of deserve it because I know what I've been eating, all the junk food and the ice cream and the things that I've been. So I have kind of deserved this time, but I didn't know anything back then. It all started to build up. And when you have Crohn's disease, it's inflamed intestines, but when that inflamed intestines moves on in your small bowel, it leaves scar tissue behind. And when that moves on, it leaves the scar tissues getting a little tighter and disease is moving on, leaving more scar tissue. And sooner or later, you're going to need a surgery. Now, my first surgery, this was lower right side. This is the lower right side. And this was that's where most people get their Crohn's, far as I know. It's where their lower intestine meets your upper intestine. That's the terminal ileum. And in the terminal ileum is there what's called the ileocecal valve, and that gets removed. So the ileocecal valve is where your stomach acids, they go through the ileocecal valve, they go into the liver, and your liver recycles them, and they go back into your digestive system. Does that make sense? Now, when we have diarrhea all the time, after we have that ileocecal valve or that terminal ileum removed, that's probably the reason. Our stomach acids are going right into our large intestine. I did not finish up college. I went back to teaching gymnastics. I was a gymnast growing up. I couldn't play football or baseball. I had my eye poked out with a stick when I was 7 years old, and this Crohn's disease happened 8 years later. So I couldn't play baseball, but I was able to ski with my friends. I was a good gymnast, and I started to coach gymnastics when I was 15. And going home from college, I was able to go back to Debbie and Rick's gymnastics school and start teaching gymnastics again. And that kept me going till my brother graduated college. And we decided we were going to open up this video store. Little video stores were really popular. And we were going to open up a big video store. And our decision was we were going to save a lot of money by choosing to just get VHS videos instead of Betamax. And that saved a lot of money. And so we opened up this big video store, and life was going on. The video business was very good. We also had a 1-hour photo. Me and my brother went to New Jersey, got trained on, and we came home and we're doing 1-hour photos. So the big business, ones that were never going to go out, we got into video rentals and 1-hour photo. And my Crohn's went on, and I did get a girlfriend at that time. And if you have a 1-bedroom and you have a girlfriend, or you have a partner, or a child, or anyone else in the house, and you have Crohn's disease, you've probably chased someone out of the bathroom before. You say, come on, you got to get out. Come on, I need to get in there really quick. That's probably happened to you before. That went on a long time until I started to get a place with more than 2 bathrooms. That was a key. I had my own bathroom. So as life was going on with my Crohn's disease, I went from one surgery to the next surgery to the next surgery. I was making the same mistake over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Think about that. Making the same mistake again and expecting a different outcome. Albert Einstein says is the definition of insanity. And that's what I was doing. So I decided I needed something different. And I found a place. Internet was still young. I found a place on the internet called the Chopra Center for Wellbeing. It was down to either that or finding a center in Mexico, or 2 doctors could teach me. And they had a program called The Soul of Healing, which was based off their course called Perfect Health, what they taught every week. But this one was Deepak Chopra and David Simon were going to be teaching it. So I went out there not knowing what to expect. And I'm going to tell you the main things that I learned. The main things that stayed with me today are my first lesson. We have these biological modes in our body. Simple, probably know the first one. You've heard of the fight flight mode. Our adrenaline rushes through our body. All the blood rushes to all your muscles. And so your immune system's going to get weaker. Your digestive system's going to get weaker. And then we have this reactive mode, or it's also called a creative mode, which is just like a fight flight mode. We can't stop worrying. We can't stop thinking about the things we can't control in life. We're watching too much TV that's driving us crazy. That's the reactive mode. The same things are happening there. Immune system's getting weaker. Digestive system's getting weaker. Now we get to restful alertness. You can go into yoga, things like that, but let's look at a field of zebra grazing and eating. All of a sudden, a lion jumps out, and all that herd runs. In my picture, they all get away. The lion goes hungry, and the zebras get away. They go into that restful awareness, that fight, flight, and then they find another field. They get away, and they find another field, and go back to this restful alertness, where their immune system's going to get stronger, your digestive system's get stronger, the blood pressures can get normalized, all those good things in their body. And then the phase above that, biological phase above that, is the restful awareness. That's finding that spot between our thoughts, finding that spot between our breath, where we can always find a place to make awareness, choice, and change. Now, another thing that I was taught at the Chopra Center, besides the meditation that we did, was how disease builds up in our body. Now, let's say disease builds up in our body and we don't even feel it's going on. We have emotional and physical toxins always flying into us. And if you don't find a way to balance that out, it's going to build up. So we're not going to even notice it at first. We might start to get little fatigue, start to get a little pains in our body. We don't pay much attention until it gets localized. Then we're starting to get worried about it, and then it's starting to disrupt into a full-blown disease. But at that point, we could have done so many different things to balance this out. And I'm going to give you the story. I was there the very first visit with Deepak Chopra, and he came out and he told us how our bodies are like rivers. They're always changing. And he was telling us how our cells are always dying off, new cells are being reborn. We get a new kidney every so many years, a new liver, new heart so many years. And then he went down into our intestines. And remember, I was there with his Crohn's disease. And he talked about how our cells are changing and we're getting pretty pink new cells. Those are the words he used. And I had to interrupt the class. And I said, no, that cannot be. That no way. There was about 20 people in the class. And Deepak, he asked me my name and he walked over to me and he said, Rick, imagine if you had a wall that fell down in your yard. I nodded my head. He said, now imagine if you build that wall in the same way, the same stone, the same drainage, what's going to happen to that wall? I just say, it's going to fall down. Now, Deepak, he said, now, let's say you put better drainage, a ditch behind the stone, put some gravel in, put some cement in between the stones, and drilled holes so that water can drain through. Now, what's going to happen to that wall? And my face lit up again. That's going to be like a lot better wall. And all he was talking about is we are nothing but energy and information. And if we change the information that goes into the body that's making up this energy, we can change our life. And that hit me. That's why I was complaining about why I deserved going to the bathroom this morning so much, because the food I ate. Because I do have other days. I take my Skyrizi. I take what's called cholestyramine, which helps bind. So I am having some normal bowel movements. My stomach is under control. I am in remission. The problem with me right now is who knows how much scar tissue I am building up. In 2013, I had a surgery where Dr. Shroud, he removed 1 foot of scar tissue, and he said I had no Crohn's disease. The Humira was working, but he cut out the scar tissue. It was still growing over all the years. So that's what's happening right now. That was 2013, so it's been 12 years, so the scar tissue has been building up, and that's why I'm having troubles again. That's why I'm still running the bathroom, but I'm doing other things to control that. We can talk about juicing in another episode, how I've turned to juicing, and it has saved me, and other things. Now, as I want to finish up, I want to remind you our next episode in this series is going to go into my aortic dissection and how living my life with Crohn's disease and aortic dissection. Because let me tell you, I've had Crohn's disease, aortic dissection. I lost my eye when I was 7 years old. I have seizures, but nothing is worse than Crohn's disease. Nothing can hurt my daily life more than Crohn's disease. And what I'm trying to teach you is the tools that you can use to help. And I've been doing this for 47 years. So come on in and you can help me subscribe, join up, and I'm going to keep getting better and telling you the tools you need to survive. Be a survivor, thrive, enjoy life, find the good things.